The fuck did I just watch? Still going on sort of the high of seeing John Wick Chapter 2 and being so... having a lot of fun in the theater for that seeing what other people wanted me to review, and I've had a few people ask me about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And it's one of those things that I'm like, you sure you want me to review this? I have a good feeling what I'm going to feel about it. But then people could go, well, you were not sure about Captain America Civil War, and that's true, because I was not a fan of the comic it was based on, so I wasn't sure about that, but I saw Civil War, which was another film that came out in 2016, another film that made over $1 billion worldwide like this one, another film that dealt with an ensemble cast and group of characters. The difference is, I thought that was actually a good movie. If you like the film, that's fine. I'm sure, I was bitching at one point about losing subscribers. I'm sure this is going to fucking steamroll that even further. But I'm going to be honest. Because if I'm not honest, what's the fuck's the point? I was able to see it for free. Few people were asking me about it. I was waiting for the right time. And then also like, you sure you want me to review it? You seem to love it very much. Anything I say would just piss you off. You sure you want me to review it? Are you really? But I didn't. When I saw the trailer of The Pain and Gain, I'm like, Michael Bay and Mark Wahlberg? This looks like a shitty comedy. I saw Pain and Gain. I really enjoyed it. Civil War. Captain America Civil War. I don't really like the comic it's based on. But I saw it. Really enjoyed it. This one, not that. As I'm watching this film, I have a couple things going in my head. One, why isn't Donnie Yen the lead? Two, when the lead girl is doing her speech, all I can think in my head is, go home and cry to mama. I got fucking Ash from Army of Darkness, Bruce Campbell. I wish he was going to pop out and just start talking instead of this lady. Just go home and cry to mama. Another thought. Was this entire movie made just because they want to explain that exhaust port and A New Hope on the Death Star? And why there's an exhaust port? Is this why this entire fucking movie was made? Because I didn't give a shit. Did you really give a shit? Another thought. What the fuck, Forest Whitaker? What kind of performance is that? It's like you're a wheezy version. Like, are you trying to do Blue Velvet's Dennis Hopper with the... But you're more wheezy? What the fuck were you doing? This is as bad a performance as fucking Battlefield Earth. Forest Whitaker, I know you can do better. Another one. Thought in my head. Why does this Diego Luna guy, who plays Cassian, why the fuck does he sound like Inigo Montoya from fucking Princess Bride? Sounds like Mandy Patinkin, and any minute now he's going to go, you killed my father, prepare to die. Throughout the entire fucking movie, I'm watching this Diego guy, like the second lead behind the lead lady, and the second lead is this guy. He sounds like a shitty version of Inigo Montoya. Inigo Montoya in Princess Bride is cool. Mandy Patinkin did a great job in Princess Bride. It's a good movie. This is like it's a shitty version of Inigo Montoya. Anytime he said his useless, pointless dialogue of one-note conversations with one-note dimensions, I thought every sentence would go in with, prepare to die. Darth Vader, you killed my father. Prepare to die. And why the fuck does a robot and a blind guy become the best fucking characters in the movie? Why? Because you got people like Alan Tudyk as the voice of the robot, who I remember, Alan Tudyk I like in films Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, among others. And then Donnie Yen is the blind guy. And Donnie Yen, if you combine the total, it feels like 5 minutes. Technically, it seems like 15 minutes total. At least that's what it seems like. And this movie is so fucking overrated. It's boring as shit. No, scratch that. Taking a shit is more fucking exciting. I will give you this. The visuals are great. Just like the fuck Awakens, the Force Awakens. And people don't ask which I hate more. I hate the Force Awakens more because it makes Return of the Jedi and all those old movies fucking pointless. And then people argue with me about it. I'm like, the next movie's called The Last Jedi. Yeah, that's such a great Return of the Jedi, huh? They made a movie called Return of the Jedi, and it made such a return that now we're already at The Last Jedi. It's the Return of the Jedi. So Luke can run away to a cave or be on a mountain as if he's the fucking Highlander, and there could be only one. And then this lady comes up, and now it's The Last Jedi is the next movie. That's the title of the next movie. I'm like, what the fuck? Again, great Return of the Jedi. That's such a return. Makes me think of that fucking song. Return to innocence. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Fuck yeah. See, when I first heard about this film, I didn't give a shit about how the Death Star plans were stolen before A New Hope. I'm like, I can figure that out on my own. This is as useless of a story as the Thing prequel. Remember that movie? If you don't, I don't blame you. Did we need to know what happened to the Norwegians and John Carpenter's The Thing? No. And then they made a useless story with shitty characters, a shitty ensemble. It's fucking boring. Now what do we have? Another prequel. Prequel to A New Hope. How did they get the Death Star plans? Why should I give a fuck? And it wasn't even that interesting of a story. You tell me, what's so interesting about the story? Oh, well, the Death Star was powered by Jedi crystals. So because of 10 seconds of dialogue, that makes it an interesting story? Name one thing about this lead girl that's good. Dialogue-wise, interaction-wise, character-wise, dialogue-wise, personality-wise. She seemed like the sister of Rooney Mara from Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I'm like, are you soon going to go ... a permanent sleep when talking about comas? Are you sure? Are you related to Rooney Mara? This lead lady here? Are you going to go to narcolepsy any second now like the fucking girl from Elm Street remake? But when I first heard about it, I'm like, I don't give a shit. Why should I give a shit about this idea? But then I thought, well, first off, I thought when they said Rogue One, it was going to be an X-Wing movie. I don't know, maybe I'm out of my mind. It could very well be the case. But I swear the first idea for this film was an X-Wing story. Wasn't it that we're going to do side stories and one's going to be an X-Wing movie? Whatever happened to that? I would like to see that, an X-Wing. How does he become an X-Wing pilot and just in the Star Wars universe? No, we don't get that. Then I thought, okay, they're going to break into the Death Star. It's going to be like Mission Impossible and the Death Star. Okay, we only see a little bit inside the Death Star of A New Hope. It's a big, fucking huge Death Star. What else is in the Death Star? And they're going to go through all these plans and sneaking around, and maybe there's certain rooms that are, in case there's intruders, maybe there's traps. Well, maybe there's certain traps that if any intruder tries to go in here, just like a government facility, well, in a movie, a government facility, but it's sci-fi, you can go with it. But no, they're not breaking into a Death Star. I'm like, breaking into a Death Star would be cooler. No, they go to a fucking planet that looks like it's taken straight out of Return of the Jedi. I see a bunch of jungle and leaves and shit. There's this little station they go in. I'm like, is that like when Leia and Han Solo and R2-D2 try and get in and Return of the Jedi? Only add in some AT-ATs. I'm like, I'm sorry. For me personally, I think it would have been cooler to see an X-Wing movie. I think it would have been cooler if they were actually breaking into the Death Star instead of just this little thing on this planet. And I heard about it, there was all these reshoots. I can't help that. Whatever reshoots, that's not the movie that was released that got shitload of positive reviews and over $1 billion at the box office and great word of mouth, and I don't see it. I don't see it. People go, it's a great ensemble movie. What's great about this ensemble? We go through the characters, the lead girl. her father, he helped build the Death Star. When she's a kid, she runs away, sees her mom die, and most of the time her reaction is this. Or maybe a little. That's her performance. What is so great about that? Name dialogue. Name dialogue that's memorable, that's interesting, that you can throw from the tip of your tongue without looking it up. What conversations? Solid or decent or okay? This other guy, Diego, name one thing about him, about this guy, that doesn't involve how he looks or his accent. Name me something about him without looking it up. This Diego Cassian, the second lead, your second lead of the film. Name something about him. Him as a character, him as a person, him with dialogue, with momentum, reactions. He's friends with a robot. What else? You have this guy who is a pilot, Imperial pilot, that Forest Whitaker was torturing at one point, so he's a little bit messed up. He pilots them in, they get him close enough to steal the plans, and then he dies from a grenade. What's so great about that character? No, seriously, I'm asking a legitimate question. Donnie Yen wasted. There's a nice 10-second scene that he beats up these stormtroopers with his staff. I do admit someone once mentioned they thought that sometime that was going to be a lightsaber coming out of that staff. That would have been cool. But okay, he's a blind guy, beats up for 10 seconds. I'm like, but they do nothing with his character. He's blind, and he keeps saying, I'm one with the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force is with me. He says that about 8-9 times throughout the film. Especially when he dies. Because, spoiler alert, this lever needs to be pulled down. Yeah, he's blind, but he's like, keeps saying that mantra to get to it, pulls it, grenades thrown, blows him back, dies in his buddy's arms. I'm like, wow, this is like Donnie Yen when he had to do shit like Highlander Endgame. Or when he was in Blade 2, and I love Blade 2. I love Blade 2. Hell, a lot better than this movie. But Donnie Yen had nothing to do in Blade 2. He really had nothing to do in this. I just liked him because I like Donnie Yen, but other than his 10-second fight against stormtroopers, nice little scene. At the end when he's sneaking around, grabbing people. There's one funny moment when they put these people take these guys in, they put hoods on everyone, and Donnie Yen goes, are you kidding me? I'm blind. Make him the lead. Probably would have been more interesting of a movie. Instead of this walking stick of a lady and her tramp, the fucking Diego guy. Great, stick lady and the tramp. The wannabe Anita Montoya. Prepare to die. And then I also knew I was in trouble when I looked at the title, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I'm like, why does it need to be called a Star Wars story? In case I forget it's Star Wars? I know you could call it Rogue One. That's like that bullshit when they did X-Men Origins Wolverine. Just call it fucking Wolverine. You don't need to remind me that it's X-Men. Are people that fucking stupid? No. Rogue One. I think you just called it Rogue One. It's a Star Wars story. Oh, thank God you said it was a Star Wars story. I thought it was a Star Trek story. No, actually, I thought it was a Battlestar Galactica story. Hell, I thought it was a fucking Kroll story, and that the glaive was going to pop out of someone's ass, and the beast was going to teleport with this fucking castle to another moment in... God damn, man. Rogue One. That would have been better. Rogue One, a Kroll story. I'm like, man, where the hell is this going? Holy shit, there's the glaive! No. But they gotta make sure it's called a Star Wars story. Like a fairy tale. Yeah, it's a fairy tale because it makes you want to fucking fall asleep after watching it. Fairy tale, you read it to your kids to sleep? Well, here you go. Here's a fairy tale for your kids. You show these to your kids, they'll fall the fuck asleep. During it, though, not after it. They get 20 minutes in. Congrats. I just don't get it. The beginning of the film, you have a ship landing, little girl running. They park all the fucking way over there. And I'm like, is this going to be like the opening of Inglourious Basterds? And, okay, I get that they want to do a Star Wars movie in the vein of The Dirty Dozen. Okay. But you have an hour and 20 minutes where all they do is pop from one to the other, one planet. They get in this little shootout, firefight with stormtroopers, and that's when Donnie Yen shows up and has his 10-second fight. A couple sentences of dialogue. And then they leave because the Death Star fucks up that area, sort of the surface area. And then they go tell the rebels, and for some reason the rebels don't believe her. I'm like, why don't they believe her? Oh, because she was arrested at one point. I'm like, okay. Which you also put into this highfalutin adventure, this journey, which is very important. Wouldn't you want to listen to what the fuck she said? And then she has this speech that as she's making this speech, I'm like, I wish Bruce Campbell's Ash would come out and say, go home and cry to mama, who's with me? And that guy's supposed to be an asshole in Army of Darkness, and I'd rather follow him than this lady. This stick. This walking stick. This wooden caricature of a person. A fucking cardboard cutout has more personality. This fucking poster behind me can act more than this lady. And the guy she's with, same shit. Can't act for shit. I wish he was Inigo Montoya. Mandy Patinkin. Prepare to die. Get out of the way. Let me do it. But okay, you don't do the Dirty Dozen. Fine. But there are many films where you actually care about the people, that go at a better pace, that have more shit going on with the characters, or at least their personality. If it's not heavy development, then they got personality, they got spunk. That's why at least the K2 robot by Alan Tudyk, he had a little bit of a spunk to him. A little bit with his dialogue, a little bit of sense of humor. Same with teeny bits of Donnie Yen. Whether it be Unknown Gems, like Eastern Condors with Sammo Hung, or Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman, Patrick Swayze, Reb Brown, and Fred Ward from 1983, those are great men on a mission movies. Or the original Dirty Dozen. Or hell, how about the original Red Dawn? When the Wolverines die, some of them do, like C. Thomas Howell, I actually gave a fuck. When Patrick Swayze is carrying Charlie Sheen at the end, I care. Spoiler, when these two leads are hugging each other and the Death Star beam fucks them up, I don't care. I'm like, yeah, the movie's over. There's about 5 minutes left, but yeah. What the fucking do? I don't care. Wish they died in the first 10 minutes. There are plenty of movies where you have ensembles. Captain America Civil War is an ensemble. I like most of those characters. The original Red Dawn, Uncommon Valor. Hell, the original Star Wars. I like Han Solo. I like Mark Hamill. I like Alec Guinness. Carrie Fisher. There's tons of movies with ensemble cast. Oh, here's one. Aliens. When people are like, well, how can you have a big ensemble cast and care about the characters? How about Aliens? You ever seen Aliens with James Cameron? You ever seen that one? Like Vasquez and Hudson and Hicks and Ripley. You ever seen that one? Bishop, Newt. Maybe Gareth Edwards should have studied Aliens for this film. Which more people would. Aliens is one of the best fucking movies of all time. It's a good movie to study. I don't know if this is even as good as Dirty Dozen, The Next Mission, or whatever the fuck that sequel was. Calm down, man. But you can do a Dirty Dozen story, but you have to care about the people. I give a shit about Uncommon Valor. Those characters. Gene Hackman, Fred Ward, Patrick Swayze, Reb Brown, Randall Tex Cobb. And at the end, you feel something. Other than boredom, which is this movie, but you feel something. Red Dawn, the original Red Dawn, when you get to the end, you feel something. Hamburger Hill. You get to the end, and they're on that hill, and there's Don Cheadle, and there's Dylan McDermott, and I forget the other guy's name, and he's looking off, and his tears are welling up in his eyes, and he sees all these dead soldiers, his comrades. You feel something. Even a film like Platoon. I enjoy Full Metal Jacket. I would add Full Metal Jacket. You get the scene with Vincent D'Onofrio, and he shoots himself. That's a really sad scene. Like, oh, shit. You got pushed over the edge. Made me feel something other than this. As a fuck you movie. It's not that bad. What is so fucking good? That's my point. Other than pretty visuals. There are many movies with pretty visuals when you have $200 million for your budget. It should have that. There's nothing else, though. A little bit of Donnie Yen. You know what? I could watch Ip Man 1 and 2, which I enjoy. And I reviewed. At least I think I reviewed on this channel. They should still be up. Or the... What was the other one called? It was sort of his ode to Kato and... I forget what it was called. I'm sure I reviewed it. There are the... Flashpoint. Is that what it was called? There are many other Donnie Yen films you could watch. If you want to watch it for Donnie Yen, you're not getting much of him. Yeah, I was right. Flashpoint. Ip Man 2. I did review him. Okay. Legend of the Fist. The Return of Chen Zhen. That's another good one. There's many movies. You could... There's many Dirty Dozen type of movies. Many other men on a mission. I don't mean the fucking... I mean actual men on a mission. I think that was like a wrestling group, Men on a Mission. I'm talking about men who go out there. Hell, I had a better time with the ensemble of Hot Shots Part 2. Hot Shots 2 had a better ensemble cast than this fucking movie. I care for Topper Harley and the guy who's going to do Whose Line Is It Anyway, and Miguel Ferrer and the other guy. And then they meet up with Topper Harley's old flame. They're a better fucking ensemble than this fucking movie. I'd rather see Hot Shots Part 2. But I was getting off track. A ship lands at the beginning, little girl running, Forest Whitaker knows the mom and dad, and the mom's like, he's come for us, and the bad guys come in. You have this bad guy that I'm thinking, anytime I see this guy dressed up in white, I'm thinking, why isn't that Darth Vader? Why isn't that Vader? You would think you have a prequel to A New Hope. That's the big thing. You know what people be like, where's Vader? Where's Vader? Why don't you have more Vader? Why couldn't Vader be like, you know what? I want in on this shit. This is important shit. I lead, you follow, let's do some stuff. He was able to, at the very beginning of A New Hope. Why not? You can have anyone dressed up in Vader. Doesn't have to be David Prowse. Teach him how to walk, how he's supposed to. Anytime I saw this guy, I'm like, why aren't you Vader, man? Why do you just have, like, 1 minute of Vader? A scene where for some reason he's living in a fucking volcano. I'm like, didn't he die? Or die, but he got fucked up near a volcano? That'd be like, hey man, a spider almost killed my ass. Now I got a spider as a pet. What? Yeah, I know this spider tried to kill me, but it's a year later, and I have a Black Widow as a pet. Why the fuck? Why you live in what almost looks like the same fucking place he got burned up? Why? Why? I don't get that. And then there's like 10 seconds where he does this, and he whips some ass, and whips this, and does this. Of course, it's funny, because at the end of this film is when A New Hope begins. So he goes from this 10-second hallway of going... to... with Obi-Wan Kenobi going... I mean, if you ever decide to watch these in order, you would watch A New Hope after this, and wouldn't you mind be going, wait a minute, Vader was doing this whole, well, I'm over exaggerating, but you know, picking people up and throwing weapons like fuck you, like Razor Ramon would do with his toothpick, and putting all this other shit, and then a day or two later, with Alec Guinness, who was like 60-some, 70-some years old. Isn't that kind of strange? Hell, if Vader could do that, then at the beginning of A New Hope, he didn't need any stormtroopers. He could just come in and be like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, take all your weapons, shove it up your ass. Because he just did the same thing here in this movie. Why did he need stormtroopers? He'd just be like, fuck you, boo, 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 boo. You know? This makes me think that. I mean... Of course, someone's going to argue, because Ben Kenobi had the Force. And I'm like, okay, yeah, Ben Kenobi had the Force, but did his Force make Darth Vader move slower too? Is that what having the Force is? You make your opponent move slower like he's an old guy? Is he, you know? Well, really, it was supposed to be the lightsaber was supposed to be heavy, like their broadswords. That was how Lucas's thing on the original Star Wars films, but... Anyway, I thought that was kind of weird. I keep getting off track, but... because it's fucking boring. The mom gets killed, and the dad gets taken because he's working on the Death Star, we find out later. And she has this necklace, which is like a crystal that used for lightsabers, as well as that powers the Death Star. And I swear, I thought they were going to go somewhere with this necklace shit, with these crystals. They never do. I'm like, wait a minute, she's got this crystal necklace. I guess it's meant as just a reminder. But she doesn't really do much with it. Like, Donnie Yen mentions it very briefly. And that's pretty much it. Like, there's... I go by John Wick Chapter 2. There's this little bracelet. What's it? Bracelet? This thing. And when his house gets blown up and he comes back, he digs it up and holds on to it. Like, that's part of the storytelling here. Is it because... was it more in reshoots? Because from what I understand, the entire ending was changed. Because, like, the original script, this is what I heard. If I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. In the original script, they were all going to live, and then there was one they shot where Darth Vader come in, like, killed everybody one by one, like a horror movie. I'm like, considering how much I hated these characters, I actually want to see that. I want to see that shit. And then, no, we have... and that maybe the lead girl might turn to the dark side, might not. There's a shot in the trailer where all the lights pop up and like she rises up. And like she has these things on her back. I'm like, are you ever going to use what the fuck's on your back? It looks like you got shit on there, like sore or something. No, fuck it. What do I know? I know nothing. I don't make movies, so I shouldn't talk, right? I just watch them and complain. Unless I like them, and then I don't complain. What is it about this movie? Why did the fucking girl, when she was a little girl, have a stormtrooper doll? Why is there stormtrooper dolls? That'd be like, so these people, the mom and dad, don't like the Empire. They don't like the shit going on. So they brought their daughter a stormtrooper doll? That'd be like your mom bringing home a fucking Nazi doll. Yeah, these are assholes and they do some horrible shit, but hey, little girl, happy birthday. Here's a Nazi doll. Why does this girl have a stormtrooper doll? Here's a Charlie Manson doll. Here's your John Wayne Gacy doll. Little girl, have fun at your birthday party. You have a clown there? Well, bring your John Wayne Gacy doll with you. What the fuck? I'm like, why? Mom and Dad came on. Why? Again, if your mom came on and gave you a Nazi doll, you'd be like, what the fuck? What? Well, I gave it to you because I'm part German. What? And then this hatch opens, and I think Forest Whitaker finds the girl. And you have all this sad stuff happening where the mom gets shot and dies, and the little girl runs away, and her dad's taken away, and Forest Whitaker finds her. And as Forest Whitaker finds her, and it's sad, and it's going to cut to the title, so you think it's maybe subtle, sad, uh-oh. No. It cuts to this triumphant music. I'm like, you just set up that a little girl's mom died in front of her eyes, her dad was taken away, and the fucking girl was hiding in a dirty hatch, and Forest Whitaker, ready to do his impersonation of Dennis Hopper for Blue Velvet, found her. She might get eaten, for all I know. And you cut to the titles, and it's like triumph. What? What? Why is your music so triumphant? Explain it to me. Since people are gonna be pissed off that you stupid. Then explain to me if I'm so stupid. Explain, please. You don't get it. What am I to get? What about the characters am I to get? K2, the robot. When the robot died, I cared and felt sad. And that's sad that it took a fucking robot dying for me to care. But when the humans died, I didn't give a flying fuck. Isn't that weird? Isn't that wrong? Isn't that a mistake? So it cuts to, really this takes place days before A New Hope, where stormtroopers are coming, the lead lady gets rescued, she's being transported, she meets the fucking second lead guy, the guy who's the shitty version of Inigo Montoya. I kill my Atin. I prepare to die. Fucking wooden lady. I swear she's the sister of Rooney Mara from Elm Street remake. I swear. And the KT robot is the only one that's doing a decent job. I swear he has more fucking facial movements than the actors. Forest Whitaker and his goofy fucking voice with his fucking Dennis Hopper blue velvet mask. You have CGI Grant Tarkin, Peter Cushing, and I'm like, it just looks weird. Why can't you just... It's not going to be... Okay, here's what doesn't make sense to me. They go through all this trouble to have the face of Peter Cushing. But I'm like, wait a minute, that's not Peter Cushing's voice, is it? I mean, I'm like, is it his voice? Is it not? I don't even... You know what, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot with that. Yeah, Guy Henry wanted his name. Because I'm like, how could it be his voice? I noticed it. It wasn't Peter Cushing's voice. I just want to double check what the guy's name was. Because the guy's trying the best that he can, but I'm like, I'm sorry, man, that's not Peter Cushing. And my point was, why are you going through all this trouble to have a CGI Grand Moff Tarkin? Why don't you just hire another actor and put makeup on him? Or, you know what? Don't have the character. Well, you need it. No, you don't. You don't need Grand Moff Tarkin. You just have him pass by and dial like, Grand Moff Tarkin wants to see you. Grand Moff Tarkin wants to see this. You don't need to see him. I don't think anyone would have been pissed that there's... Hell, there's more Grand Moff Tarkin CGI Peter Cushing than fucking Darth Vader. Don't you think that's kind of stupid as well? Darth Vader, he's a guy, you put anyone in the fucking suit. James Earl Jones is still alive, so you can have his voice, and he does do the voice for the minute of screen time. But you put more effort to having a CGI Grand Moff Tarkin, CGI Peter Cushing, and give him more screen time, when you could just have more Darth Vader, which is what people want to see, over Grand Moff Tarkin. You have this weird CGI Peter Cushing, but we don't have more of him, and it looks weird. But the people want to see Darth Vader, but we don't have less of him, even though James Earl Jones is still alive, and you didn't have anyone play the suit. Isn't this just backward logic? Am I really insane? Does that really not make any sense to anyone else than myself? Why wouldn't you have more Darth Vader? Why not? You see some flashbacks of the lady that is her, and the dad worked with the Empire and helped build the Death Star. You get these pointless cameos that, why are they in there? Why do we need the two assholes from A New Hope, Bulchin guy, alien, and asshole gets his arm cut off, and the bar in A New Hope? Why do we need to see those guys? Here's an idea. How about you stop worrying about cameos and worry about storytelling, worry about acting, worry about dialogue, worry about some shit. And then people go, well, the old movies. But no, scratch the old movies. We're in 2017. This came out 2016, but it came out late 2016. You can do better. You're supposed to improve, not go backwards. Yeah, you improve on visuals, you just go backwards on characters and storytelling and dialogue. It's like we go forwards with visual, we go backwards on every fucking thing else. And yet, I'm the crazy one for pointing that out? So they're trying to look for her dad and try to see what's going on. Her and wannabe Anita Montoya go and have this little shootout with these stormtroopers. It seems like nowadays when these... Nah, not gonna worry about that. It's just one of those things where, how many films have we seen now, whether it be Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, this, where you hear about all these reshoots. Reshoots are not a new thing, but these are like gigantic movies, and That's 3 in 1 fucking year. I don't know if Batman v Superman had reshoots, but no, it had re-editing. Three in 1 year at least. And this is a scene where we're introduced to Donnie Yen's character, who's blind. And the robot has a nice moment where he comes in, just grabs a grenade, throws it behind him, and he talks about how there's lots of explosions, and I was bored waiting by the ship, so I came to help. Donnie Yen has his 10 seconds of fighting troopers, and his buddy helps him. You almost shot me. You're welcome. And then when stormtroopers are taken down, but then these other people come in, they put a cover over Donnie Yen's face, like, are you kidding me? I'm blind. Build up that character more. That was like one of the few lines. This is not, I know this is not meant to be a funny movie. It's meant to be more of a serious movie. But you can also, Aliens is a very serious movie, but it's also pretty damn funny at times with some really great dialogue. That's why Aliens is a classic. It's part of the reason. And they go to see Forest Whitaker, and he's overacting his ass off. She sees a message of her dad that he left behind, and he talks about the exhaust port on the Death Star, and I put it there just in case for... And I'm like, this exhaust port... I never gave a fuck that there was an exhaust port in A New Hope. I didn't need an explanation. And so now it's like, it wasn't just Luke, you know, going in... I mean, yeah, technically it is. I'll admit that. But it just... The guy makes it seem like, well, I made this exhaust port, so one of you guys are going to get it. But what made it special was that Luke had the Force and did it. So why would the guy make a shot of an exhaust port that's so fucking impossible that a guy with the Force would need to shoot it, when the guy probably doesn't even know anyone on the good side has the Force? So he made an exhaust port for the Death Star that, again, is so fucking little that only a guy with the Force can make it, but this guy makes it seem like anyone could do it. I made an exhaust port. Just get these plans. One of you guys is going to do it. If you're so gung-ho about that, why didn't you make the exhaust port better for anyone to get it? Except, again, someone who has the Force. But this guy makes it seem like, well, anyone, almost like anyone could do that. My point is, it's you're over-explaining something that does not need to be explained. It's pointless bullshit. I never thought it was a problem in A New Hope. I didn't know anyone else did think it was a problem in A New Hope. Oh, that's a plot hole. I'm like, did you just make this entire movie to fix a plot hole? Because there's nothing else going on in this movie. It's not an engaging story. And people go, yes, it is. What's engaging about any of these conversations? Good, decent, memorable, fine, with any of these conversation scenes throughout the film with these characters. I'm mainly talking about the two leads. Stick Lady and wannabe Anita Montoya. Name one dialogue that's worth a shit. Death Star's fucked up the surface of the planet. Forest Whitaker can't go anywhere. I guess because he has to breathe some more of that gas. And says, save the dream. I'm like, Forest Whitaker, save your career. And they get off the planet. For some reason, these guys don't believe her. Yeah, we gotta get these plans in the Death Star. And no one believes her for some reason. I'm like, I barely know anything about this character. Yet you don't believe her? Why would she lie? They land at night as like, will this Anita Montoya wannabe motherfucker snipe the girl's dad or not? Why is this white suited guy, bad guy, not just Vader? One thing leads to another. Some good guys get in there, shoot some shit. Her dad dies. You get more fucking boring as hell dialogue. Then Vader, for some reason, living in a fucking volcano. He does this stupid shit. Be careful not to choke on your aspirations. He does this little thing with his fingers like this. Like, you can't see it, but... Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm like... Are you practicing for a fingering later? Are you ready to finger your ass? Oh, well, it's to show that he's doing a chokehold. First, either do it like they did. Again, if you're going to have this before A New Hope, each time, at least from what I remember, maybe I saw different versions of Star Wars. There's more than one. Maybe it was a special edition I saw, but I could have sworn anytime Vader did a chokehold, he did this. Instead of this. Which looks like he's got doing gang signs. Why is he doing gang signs? I didn't know Vader was a gangbanger. Bang my head against the fucking wall watching this movie. To wake myself up because my brain fell asleep. Ready to seep down through my asshole. I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta watch the rest of the movie. So after he's doing gang signs and choke a bitch, he does a stupid dialogue. Choke. Be careful not to choke on your aspirations. Yeah, be careful you don't choke on my dick. And the heroes go back, the leads go back to the rebels, and once again, they say what's going on. For some reason, they don't believe her. Then why the fuck did he send her on a mission anyway if you're not going to believe her? But wannabe Anita Montoya does, even though they've had a couple very boring conversations, then all of a sudden they look like they want to fuck each other, and then people like coming out of the woodwork after she gives this terrible speech that's about invigorating as a fucking... You know when you see those movies and TV shows when someone goes to a condo and they sit your ass down to watch a video about how to go for the condo life or the ski lodge. Or better yet, more about as invigorating as a fucking bowel movement. That's how invigorating the speech is. But some people, some random people we've never seen before say, yes, I will go with you. And they get to this planet. I forgot the name of the planet. Almost looks like there's a beach and some jungle area. Donnie Yen, the other guy, are sneaking and knocking out some stormtroopers. The lead girl, the robot, and the fucking guy go in to try to find the plans. The stormtroopers, they find out something's going on. All hell breaks loose. And yeah, you get some nice visuals where now the rebels find out something's going on. And yes, some X-Fighters, some X-Wings, TIE Fighters. I'm like, this is some nice visuals, but I don't give a shit about the story. I don't give a shit about the characters. I don't give a shit about the dialogue. I don't give a shit about anything. So nice visuals, great. It's a wonderful looking new gen video game. I don't care. I've seen many movies. Independence Day. People make fun of me. Independence Day has great visuals. But you know what? It has a great cast. I liked Will Smith. I liked Bill Pullman. I liked Jeff Goldblum. I liked Robert Loggia. I liked those guys. I liked those characters. So I gave a shit. I don't give a shit. Random people in X-Wings fighting random people in TIE Fighters. And then what's funny, some of these X-Wings are new designs, some of these TIE Fighters are new designs, but it takes place like a day or two, like literally the same day of A New Hope. Because later on that day, or like more like 20, 30 minutes later, you have a CGI Leia, and they get out of there and ready to give her info into while being chased by the bad guys. I'm like, so wait a minute, these new version of TIE Fighters and X-Wings you're giving us, How come they're not in any of the next 3 movies from New Hope to Return of the Jedi? Don't you think that's kind of stupid? Just like you never see a T... I don't know if you'd never see it. There's like more than one K2 type of... I keep wanting to say KC. K2 type of robot. I can't remember if they're in any of the original films. I would have thought I would have remembered if they were. But like these new versions of TIE Fighters and X-Wings, I'm like, wow, they're only in this movie and they completely disappear in A New Hope and Empire and Jedi. So, again, like, you do this shit, but then you have a CGI fucking Tarkin and CGI Leia. Make sure we did a pointless cameo of R2-D2 and C-3PO. This is not at the end of the film that leads into A New Hope. No, this is like when the Rebel X-Wings are leaving to go to where the lead people are at. And they're just hanging around there or something. So, you know, maybe it's not the same day. Maybe it's like days later. Yeah. It's like, okay, days later, no more of these new TIE Fighters. Just the regular TIE Fighters. No more of these X-Wings. Just the regular X-Wings. No more of these new designs. In any of the next 3 movies. But yes, some AT-ATs. Yes, some X-Wings. They take down the AT-ATs. X-Wings and TIE Fighters. K2 robot dies, saving. And he's kind of a badass, throwing stormtroopers left and right, shooting them. And he dies, saving those 2. I'm like, no, you survive. You're better than these 2. Switch places. Throw them into the stormtroopers. You survive. You're the best character in the movie. Actually, I'm like, oh man, that robot was cool. And then that's when people just start dying. Donnie Yen, I'm one with the Force. The Force was me. He says it like 10 times as he goes towards the handle. Explosion grenade gets thrown back, dies in his buddy's hands. He later on starts shooting, and then he gets blown up. Then the 2 leads are able to get the plans, and then the Death Star's laying waste, and they hug each other, and they die. I'm like, I don't care. Then you have the Vader scene where it's like 10 seconds of killing these random people we've never seen before, doing all the, you know, that shit. And then you have a CGI Leia that just was creepy. It was more creepy than anything. I'm sorry, that shit's creepy. You know what? It worked well in Captain America Civil War when it was a young Robert Downey Jr. That stuff looked really good. This, no, I'm sorry, it didn't, man. People don't have a problem with it, good for you. It did not look good to me. I did not like it. Did not like it. Just like this movie. Her last word is hope. Like A New Hope. And that's also a funny thing. Like, it ends with all these people dying, which were I didn't really give a shit because they all were shitty characters. But they all die, and then Leia says A New Hope, and then we get duh, 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 duh. Although to be fair, Empire Strikes Back ended dark, and it did that, so that's not fair. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, people are talking about, oh, it's so dark. Star Wars has been dark. Empire Strikes Back was dark. Revenge of the Sith, the emo Hayden Christensen asshole, killed a bunch of kids. That's dark. Jar Jar Binks, that's dark. There's a lot of dark shit in fucking, you know, Star Wars. I mean, it's not the first or last time. My reaction was, what the fuck is this shit that I watched? I find the film, it was boring, it was slow, it was tedious, it was unlikable characters. wooden characters. That's really what it is. They're very wooden. No reason to care about the lead girl. If people know she's a good lead, why? Why? What is it about this lead girl that was good? What is it about the lead guy that was good? Or decent? Or even so-so? Name one piece of dialogue. Name one conversation piece. Name one moment. Without having to look it up. Donnie Yen's buddy. Do you remember anything about the buddy other than he shot a gun? The guy who's the pilot. Do you remember anything other than he was a pilot? Donnie Yen, he's blind and he kicked some stormtrooper ass for 10 seconds. Has one or two humorous lines. It's like, hey, I like Donnie Yen. He's very misused, like, because he's barely in the film. At least that's what it feels like. Oh yeah, there's one more where he shoots a TIE fighter down with a gun. That was cool of Donnie Yen. And then that's when, in the scene where it's at night and afterward the woman's dad dies. The robot was cool. Nice visuals, I'll give you. At the end you have some nice visuals. Very nice visuals of TIE fighter. But I've seen TIE fighters and X-Wings in Return of the Jedi. You know, I've seen them in other movies. In other Star Wars movies. It's not like I've never seen an X-Wing and a TIE fighter before. I've seen Luke shooting the shit and Han Solo shoot the shit out of TIE fighters in the original film. To me, it was this was a prequel that was not needed, that was unwarranted, that brought nothing to the table, that just fucking useless movie with shitty characters. It was a shitty Dirty Dozen movie. You want to see better ones? Watch Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman. Watch Eastern Condors with Sammo Hung. Watch the original Red Dawn. Watch Hamburger Hill about the Vietnam War. You want to see good movies about that. That actually makes you feel, has a good ensemble cast. You want to see a good ensemble cast? Kick ass and do a mission? Watch Aliens. There are tons of movies you can watch. Hell, Captain America Civil War had a great ensemble cast. And that was another Disney movie, like A Star Wars Story. They both came out 2016. They both made over $1 billion. Captain America Civil War worked. And that made me feel something by the end. And they didn't even have to die. They made me feel something at the end. Oh, man. Man, the War Machine got paralyzed. And, you know, Captain America and Iron Man had to fight and beat the shit out of each other. And because Iron Man saw his parents die and wanted to kill Bucky. Man, they tore this group apart. Made me feel more than the characters dying in this movie. Again, the robot made me feel more than any of the humans. Except Donnie Yen. He's like, oh shit, I like Donnie Yen. But not even much to do. So what? You got fucking little girls having stormtrooper dolls. Little crystal that woman has on a necklace that never explained. Thought I was going to go further. It's not them breaking to the Death Star, which honestly I thought that's what it was going to be, but no. It's just, no, that's not it. I thought like in the trailer, that stuff on the ground would be like an action scene that would lead into them breaking into the Death Star and a Dirty Dozen type of mission. Nope. Characters die, you don't give a fuck about because there's nothing to them. So what's there to love about this movie when the characters suck ass? Other than pretty visuals. The music sucked too. The score sucked. There's that one piece of music I liked in this movie. Music was lame. This director, he can pull off pretty visuals. His Godzilla movie, 2014, Was it? What? I think that was the year 2014. Pretty visuals. Of course, that was another movie that had a good character in Bryan Cranston. You kill him off and leave us with a wooden piece of shit like Aaron Taylor Johnson. At least his character. I don't know him as a person. His character was a wooden piece of fucking stick. Bryan Cranston, better character, more interesting, more entertaining. I want to follow him, but you kill him off, just like you do nothing with Donnie Yen. And hell, the robot should have been the lead. Make Donnie Yen or the robot the lead. Or don't worry about your fucking pointless cameos and your fucking CGI Leias and CGI Grand Moff Tarkins, and worry more about your writing and your fucking character building and your acting, and especially your two fucking leads. And your boring pace over 2 hours where they jump to a planet, jump to a planet, jump to a planet, finally get to like an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes when they finally do the mission, and it's a boring as fuck mission. I'm tired of, you know what, I'll say I'm tired of fucking Star Wars movies. After The Force Awakens and this movie, I'm tired of fucking Star Wars movies. I really am. I wish they would stop making them. But I know, I don't need to watch them. I understand that. I did it because people asked me, and I'm like, are you sure? Well, if you're pissed at me and you're one of those guys who asked, you know, there you go. So, yeah. Inigo Montoya. The fucking robot was the best character in the movie. Everyone dies, and I don't give a shit. Pretty visuals. Lame score. Pointless prequel to explain the Zosport and A New Hope. I gave a flying fuck. And they're just pointless. They're just unneeded. Wasn't needed. You think there are many fucking things that are built. There are fucking governments that build fucking big ass. Hell, didn't they fuck up the fucking NASA fucked up the telescope because one little thing was messed up, and look how much money was put into that. Didn't that happen? The Hubble telescope? Maybe I heard that wrong. So yeah, they can put a lot of money in something that doesn't fucking work. So yeah, I can see them missing something that's so small that a guy with the Force can hit it. It was something that wasn't need to be explained. I'm tired of talking about this movie. Fuck this shit.